What's good, YouTube? It's Justice. I used to be Pay, and today I'm back with another video. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about why JT could be rap's next it girl. But before I get into that, make sure you leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Do all those things. It helps me out a ton. And also make sure you go and follow the Twitch channel. I'm going to be streaming more often on Twitch, so make sure you go follow the channel, sub up if you're really feeling generous, but make sure you're staying in tune with that because I'm going to be streaming a lot more. Now, I'm sorry to take a break from our regular scheduled programming, which is just me talking about Drake versus Kendrick, or Drake versus Ye, or Drake versus Metro, or Drake versus whoever, and pretty much this massive like Drake versus the Rap Avengers beef. But I really want to talk about JT because she's somebody that I've seen for a while now that's had a lot of potential in my opinion. And I really want to get on this before it's too late, before the hype train is already super massive. And I just really want to talk about her because I think she has a lot of potential as a solo star because she's moving into this brand new like solo career kind of thing. But really, if you look at the landscape of women in rap, it's huge right now, right? Women are going crazy. They're running the game. You know, they got a lot of hits. They got a whole bunch of different acts. Like, it's really, really up right now for the women in rap. And this kind of comes after this long, vapid period that we had in women in rap, where it was pretty much just Nicki or bust. It was Nicki Minaj or nothing. Of course, you know, we had like Iggy Azalea popping in and out every now and then. But like, for the most part, it was just Nicki. But really the first acts to break into this new space, to kind of break down these walls of this just like Nicki Minaj dominance era, was obviously Cardi B. But really after that, it was the City Girls. The City Girls were one of the first acts to really become poppin' in this new modern era for women in rap. And they kind of helped set the mold for a lot of these artists that are here today. Like, if you look at it, the song Act Up, if you don't remember, I'm sure you do, you know, Act Up, You Can Get Snatched Up. That song, that was really like the big bang of this new era of women in rap. And if you look at the artists that have come now, they're kind of shaped in that mold of that, you know, City Girls Act Up song. You know, we look at people like Glorilla, we look at Lotto, we look at Ice Spice, we look at Sexy Red. So as weird as it is to say, JT is responsible for a lot of what we see today in a way, right? Obviously there's Nicki first, but like in a way, she is also responsible for a lot that's going on right now. And I've always seen, you know, the two girls and the City Girls, you know, as a group, yes, but like one is just very clearly better. And that's always been JT. JT is just very clearly better than Young Miami. She's the actual rapper. Young Miami was more of like the actual city girl, and she was a little bit more of the personality. And if you're really confused on who the two are, you've never really looked too far into it, Young Miami is Diddy's girlfriend. So the one that's not dating the diddler is the one who I'm talking about. JT is the one with a lot of talent, in my opinion. In terms of pretty much any way you want to measure it, when you look at the City Girls, JT is just by far the better artist in terms of lyrical ability, in terms of rapping, in terms of their flow, like just anything, delivery. She's a lot better than Young Miami. Young Miami isn't even writing a large part of her rap. So in terms of those two, it's really just not close, but it's very clear that we've pretty much come to the end of the City Girls as a group, right? As a dynamic, it's pretty much the swan song of the City Girls. Their last project just sold about 6K first week, and they just seem to be going into their own path. They even had their own little like dispute on Twitter, but like it's just very clearly the end of the City Girls. And they're going on much different paths in terms of a solo career. Now, since they're kind of like not official, but like kind of official split, JT has been dropping some singles, and JT again is somebody who I think has a lot of potential to be her own solo star. She started this little singles runoff with the song No Bars. Now, No Bars is a song that did very well commercially for her. It did, you know, very well in terms of streaming numbers, but more importantly for JT right now, because I mean, like, numbers are important, but more importantly for somebody who's trying to establish themselves as their own artist, No Bars was very well received culturally. People love the song. People on Twitter love the song. The fan base that you would expect JT to have loves the song. It did very well. People like it. And even, you know, a quote from the song, the Mwah, No Bars, that part of the song is still very culturally relevant months and a long time after the song, to the point which is probably going to be relevant for the foreseeable future. It's going to be something that people say in reference to that song for a while now. So No Bars was really her first like official kind of solo single in this new run, and it did very well both commercially and culturally. And then her next single, Sideways, it didn't do as well numbers wise, but again culturally it did really well. And I think that's what's really important for somebody who's trying to establish themselves on their own. Sure, the numbers aren't going to be always right there as soon as you go single, as soon as you go solo. Not everybody is going to be Beyonce and just instantly just go to the moon when they go solo, but it's very important for people to establish the fact that they like your music on your own. It's very important for people to be like, okay, I can go listen to JT when she's by herself. I can expect good music from JT, because on the other hand, and this isn't me trying to disrespect Young Miami, but on the other hand, that doesn't really exist for Young Miami at the moment. Nobody's like, oh man, are you looking forward to that new Young Miami release? Like, I'm sorry, it's just not happening. But on the other hand, JT is establishing that for herself, that she is a very good artist on her own. In my opinion, JT has a lot of potential to be a star in rap because first and foremost, she's just good. Okay, she's good in my opinion, and she's probably better than a majority of the mainstream rap girls right now. Sure, I'm going to put somebody like Nicki above her. I'm going to put somebody like Doja above her. But like for the most part, she's either comparable to or better than the rest of the competition. But also at the same exact time, she makes music that is very easily connectable to the audience. Like her audience feels her music. Like she makes music that, you know, people can put like an ideal version of themselves in her music. And she also makes music that's very easy to sing along to. A lot of her parts in the City Girl songs are the parts that everyone is singing along to. She's the one that really creates a connection with her audience through the music. Now, maybe not so much personality wise. She doesn't really give a whole bunch for the most part, but in her music, she connects really well with her audience. JT makes anthem music. She makes music that everyone can sing along to and have a good time. She makes music that, you know, you can play in the club and everyone, all the women are going to sing. Like she makes that style of music. She also fits into this modern era of women in rap. Of course, I mentioned earlier that they were kind of pioneers to this new era, but like she fits in with the looks and the way she raps and what she raps about. Like she fits the mold. But also I will say that JT seems a lot more committed to the grind than a lot of people in the craft right now. She seems very committed because she's obviously, you know, releasing these singles like I'm talking about. And she also has a single that's about to come out soon, but she's releasing these singles. But not only is she doing that, she's gone on her own little like tour thing, this little mini tour where she's doing these performances by herself, right? She's not, you know, following somebody up. She's not opening for somebody. She's not with Young Miami. She's on her own. Now, these venues that she's doing are tiny. They're tiny. They're very small. They're clubs. They're like bar and grills. They're tiny. Okay. They're very small venues. And for an artist like a JT, I feel like that's something that's hard to do. It's hard to humble yourself like that because, you know, JT isn't a small artist. She didn't come from like this small group. She came from the City Girls. The City Girls were one of the biggest acts in the like end of the 2010s going into the 2020s. They were everywhere. They were on tour with other people. They were performing in these massive venues. Now, the City Girls themselves weren't like headlining these massive venues, but they were there. They were on stage with Lil Baby. They were on stage with Lil Yachty in these huge, huge venues. So it's very hard for you to humble yourself as an artist that's seen those big stages and seen those huge lights. It's hard to humble yourself and bring yourself back down to earth and perform in a club or perform in these like little small bars or hookah lounges or whatever the hell she's performing. But I think it is a good thing for her to be performing in these extremely small venues because for one, it shows that she's not embarrassed. Okay, she'll do her show. She'll do what she has to do. But for two, it also is her building rapport with her fan base. Because right now at the moment, JT doesn't really have a real, like, dedicated fan base. All right, and that's just probably a product of being a part of a group. But even if you look at the group itself, the City Girls never really had that dedicated of a fan base. Despite the fact that they had all these hit songs, you know, a couple years ago, they were never able to go on tour by themselves in these huge venues. They were never able to sell hundreds of thousands of copies on, you know, their albums. On their most recent album, they just sold 6K. So that goes to show you that they don't really have a dedicated fan base. So it's already hard enough to leave a group and get a dedicated fan base, but it's harder when that group never really had a dedicated fan base in itself. So her doing these small venues, performing in these small places, as, you know, funny as it is, and, you know, we make fun of people like Smoke Perp and all these other guys for performing in venues like that. It's a smart move for her, at least in my opinion, to try to help build up this fan base from the ground. But it is extremely difficult to build up a solo career after being in a group for so long, because more times than not, when it comes to like groups breaking up, we rarely get multiple successful acts from groups. Like more times than not, it's just one. And even sometimes we don't even get one. So it's very difficult to go from a group to a solo artist. So I can't guarantee that she'll be a major star. I can't guarantee that she's the next Nicki Minaj. I'm not saying anything like that, but you can at least see that she has, I think in my opinion, the potential to be a star. But not only does she just have the potential, she has the grind. She's willing to grind. And a lot of people just aren't willing to do that. Okay. A lot of people in her same position would not be doing these super small shows. They'd be like, that's embarrassing. I'm too big for this. I'm in the City Girls. Like, y'all know me. Y'all should love me. I'm JT from the City Girls. Like, I shouldn't have to do all this stuff. Y'all should know me already. Y'all love the City Girls, right? But she's not taking that approach. And also right now, JT has a snippet floating around titled Okay, and that seems to be going super viral on like her side of Twitter, and people are really excited for that song. So she has a lot of momentum being built up right now for herself just with that song alone. But also another very important part of becoming a star is having some sort of personality. And JT has started to kind of become more of an open book over the last like couple months to couple weeks or something like that. Like, that's really what you need for people to attach themselves to you. Of course, people are going to be like, they like your music, but they need something to grab onto outside of your music. That's why some people have gimmicks. That's why Playboi Carti is a 30-year-old vampire. Like we need something besides the music to kind of attach yourself to. And JT has shown herself online to be someone with a character. She's somebody who's not willing or is willing to get into these kind of online scrambles back and forth with somebody like a Glorilla or even with her own group mate, Young Miami. Like she's shown some sort of personality, and sure, it's a little like nasty. She seems a little mean, but like that doesn't matter. All right. A lot of people think you need to be a good person to have a fan base, to have people like you. You don't. And I'm not saying that JT is a bad person. Like, don't get me wrong. I don't know anything about the lady really, but I'm just saying like, you need to give people something. And so her having that willingness to bite back at other people and to get into these conflicts, like that works for her. That's good. It's a good thing. And, when you see fans in these beefs, honestly, these beefs for fans do a lot for them. Like as we see right now with the whole Kendrick and Drake thing, it does a lot for fans for their favorite artist to be in beefs. It makes them feel closer to that artist. It makes them feel like they have to protect that artist from the other haters and from the other fan base. Like it's really a good thing, especially for these women when they get into these conflicts. Look at somebody like Nicki Minaj. Nicki Minaj's fan base is pretty much built off of these conflicts, and they go and they attack people. Now, I'm not saying what they do is good. Obviously, it's horrible, doxing people and all that stuff. Like they do some really weird stuff, but you can just see that these kind of parasocial relationships are much easier built when that person has some sort of personality and they're willing to interact with these kind of online beefs or whatever you want to call them. Look at, again, like Cardi B's fan base. Like there's something there with fans where they really want to get invested in a person, especially when they feel like they have to protect them, or they especially feel like that person has something kind of crazy about them. And speaking of Nicki and her fan base, it definitely doesn't hurt that she's kind of an orbiter of Nicki Minaj and that Nicki's fans kind of support her just because she's friends with Nicki Minaj. Like that doesn't hurt at all. And in my opinion, I think that JT is really one moment away from being up there in that same conversation as like the Lottos and the Glorrillas and the Sexy Reds and the Ice Spices. I think she's one moment away. And all she really needs is that one moment to where everyone's eyes are on her, and then she'll just kind of try to not lose those eyes. And what I mean by this one moment, like why did I do that with one hand? One moment, right? What I mean by that is just something that goes viral for her to where everyone's paying attention to her, and then she just has to keep that. She just keeps that attention on her. For example, look at Ice Spice and the song Munch. That was Ice Spice's moment, and since that moment, she hasn't lost everyone's eyes. Now, maybe everyone's not the biggest fan of her, but in terms of like the public eye, she has not lost that public eye since the song Munch. Look at somebody like Sexy Red. The song Pound Town was her moment. That was the moment where everyone put their eyes on Sexy Red, and she hasn't really lost that since. Now, I'm not saying that, JT has to jump out the window and do something crazy. I'm not saying she needs to get a feature from Nicki Minaj, even though that could help. That could be the moment. All I'm saying is that I feel like JT is good enough to where all she really needs is that one moment. She needs something, whether it's her own song going viral, maybe it's a TikTok trend, something. I think once she gets that one moment, she will officially be in those conversations. And I think she'll have probably better staying power and more potential than a lot of these other women, because I think she's just better than most of them. But I really just wanted to make this video really quickly because I wanted to get on this before the train got too out of control. I could already see some of the hype building up, but I wanted to jump on the JT hype train before it was too late, before I was officially a bandwagon. But who knows, maybe she doesn't blow up. Maybe she just falls off completely like Blockboy JB or something. Like maybe she just doesn't pan out, but I really do believe she has a lot of potential. But that's just my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you disagree. Maybe you think JT sucks. I don't know. Whatever you got to say, let me know down below in the comment section. I just think that she has a lot of potential to be a really good artist. But that's going to be the end of my video. I hope you made it to the end. If you made it this far, thank you so much. Have a good day. Be safe. Be blessed. Peace.